Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the Chinese Exclusion Act, and it's going to be a really quick video. What you need to know about the Chinese Exclusion Act. First, during westward expansion and during the time of the Gilded Age, there were many Chinese immigrants that came to the United States for economic opportunities, much like many of the other immigrants throughout history and at the same time were coming. They were really coming here to make a better life for themselves. So what we found was when they came, they often found jobs working with the railroad and working on farms and doing a lot of the work in the West that needed to get done. When they first arrived, the Chinese were, really received fairly positively. Many saw them as really industrious and hardworking, and really thought they were a positive contribution to American culture. Where you get kind of the change is that as they continued to be industrious and hardworking and super resourceful, many became economic rivals to others in the West. And that's where the sentiment starts to change. And you start to get a lot of anti-Chinese sentiment and anti-Chinese immigration sentiment. And what you get is people wanting to put a limit on the immigration of the Chinese. So in 1882, they passed what's called the Chinese Exclusion Act. And what that did was it excluded immigrants from China, and also made the current Chinese living in the United States, it made it impossible for them to gain citizenship. It was renewed. It was passed for a period of 10 years. It was renewed once, and in 1902 was made permanent, and it lasted until about 1939. Something else I want you to take away from the Chinese immigration is that the Chinese were paramount in finishing the Transcontinental Railroad. Their labor on it was very important. And one of the reasons that the railroads like to hire Chinese is because they would work for slightly less wages and also didn't have the tendency to want to unionize. All right, so there it is. That's the Chinese Exclusion Act. Thanks.